Hello everyone, I'm Luke and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am bringing you my video for my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2018. As I discussed in my update video that I posted a couple days ago, I mentioned that the reason that I haven't posted a lot of content is because I had surgery and I was basically laid up for a couple of weeks, unable to pretty much do anything. And I originally recorded this video and was going to post it before surgery happened, but the video ended up losing its audio halfway through, so I had to re-record it and then obviously repost it here for all of you today. And interestingly enough, in the time that I was laid up on my feet, I discovered that there are a couple more movies that I wanted to add to my most anticipated list. And also, I've done away with the gimmick of how I did in 2016 and 2017, my top 16 movies of 2016 and my top 17 movies of 2017. This is just going to be a standard top 10 with 6 honorable mentions before we actually get to the top 10 list. And it's not that these movies just didn't make the cut for any reason. It's just because I wanted 10, I had 16, and I just ranked them in order of how excited I am to actually see them in theaters. So the honorable mentions in no particular order. Deadpool 2, I really enjoyed the first movie. I thought it was the most obscure, crazy, cuckoo bananas superhero movie I had ever seen, and I can't wait to see what they do with the sequel. Ryan Reynolds really is the king of marketing when it comes to this movie. A Star is Born, which is a remake of the classic movie from the 1920s. They remade it with Judy Garland, and Barbra Streisand. And this time around, they're going to have Lady Gaga front and center with Bradley Cooper as not only her co-star, but this is his directorial debut. So it'll be interesting to see how he does both in front of and behind the camera for the movie. The Nutcracker in the Four Realms. This is Disney's next big budget live-action fairy tale. They're essentially taking the classic Tchaikovsky Nutcracker ballet and they're putting obviously a script and a story towards it with a lot of really interesting elements. They had the first trailer come out about a month or two ago, and it was pretty beautiful to watch. Illumination Entertainment's The Grinch. I know that Illumination Entertainment put out some controversial movies in terms of quality where some people love them and some people absolutely despise them. And while I thought that the Despicable Me movies are charming and the Lorax was garbage, my favorite Illumination movie to date is still Sing. That was one of the best animated movies that I saw last year, or 2 years ago actually, it was in 2016. Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. I adored the first movie, and I can't wait to see how the anthology continues with this new franchise, especially that J.K. Rowling is still front and center writing the material. But this is original for film, not based on any of her previously written books. And the last honorable mention is Aquaman. Despite unpopular opinion, I still adore the movies that have been made by the DCEU. I think that Warner Brothers they just can't satisfy everybody, which is the problem. They're not Disney, they're not Marvel. They make bold choices with their storytelling narratives, and they unfortunately become the center of hot button internet chatter. And while Aquaman is the only DCEU movie that is coming out this year, James Wan is directing it, and for someone who's made nothing but horror movies up until this point, I'm interested to see how he does with a big superhero action movie like this. But now that the honorable mentions are out of the way, let's get to the actual top 10. So number 10 is Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. The original cast is being reunited for the sequel, and they're going to be using ABBA music that was not in the first film. And I gotta tell you, when I first heard the announcement that they were making a Mamma Mia sequel, I was like, well, where can they go with the story? And I was extremely skeptical. Then when I heard that they were going to be doing flashbacks to Donna's youth when she was younger, and Lily James was cast as a young Donna Sheridan, I started to get interested. And then that trailer was so charming and so delightful. that I am very excited. The only reason it's at 10 is for two hiccups. One, I think even though the flashback sequences are definitely something I'm looking forward to seeing, they don't really line up with the first movie because it makes all of the adult characters in that first movie 10 to 15 years older than the first movie was insinuating. And then the fact that Meryl Streep's character Donna is dead in this movie, I'm going to have to see the actual film because I'm so confused as to why you would kill off Meryl Streep's character for the sequel. Because this is, obviously the first movie was based on the stage musical. This is completely original. It's not the same screenwriter and it isn't the same director either. So it gives me cause for concern, but I loved the first movie so much and I love the cast. So that's why it's in this top 10. Number 9 is Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet. I loved the first Wreck-It Ralph. That was Disney Animation working at their finest when it comes to really out-of-the-box thinking with such a simple concept. Obviously, Toy Story's done this with basically bringing to life anthropomorphic things and what they do when humans aren't looking. But the first Wreck-It Ralph was so successful, and I really enjoyed it, that I can't wait for the sequel. Obviously, Ralph and Vanellope are going to be going into the world of the internet out of the arcade. And also, all of the original Disney princesses that are still currently living are going to be providing voices for all the Disney princesses, which I think is fantastic. They're going to have Star Wars characters and Marvel characters all interacting in the same movie. And I wonder just how meta it's going to get because Disney obviously owns all of these three major properties. But I love Disney Animation, and I can't wait to see what they do with it. It's going to be coming out for Thanksgiving, and Disney just always delivers with their beautiful Thanksgiving movies that they come out with. Number 8 is A Wrinkle in Time. Ava DuVernay is such a fabulous director. If you haven't seen Selma, I highly recommend it. It's a very, very well-made biopic about the life of Martin Luther King, but also the importance of the civil rights movement. And from her innovative directorial eye, she's going to be presenting us with this science fiction fantasy book that's being adapted into a movie. The cast top to bottom is phenomenal. I love the fact that Disney is going with an unknown for their leading lady front and center. I always love it when movies are willing to go the bold enough risk where they cast someone fresh face and brand new in a film. I wish that Hollywood would take more risks with that. Support them, obviously, with other name talent that filling out the rest of the characters. But when you go with someone who is a fresh face, it opens the door for them to become a bigger star. And the trailers, ever since the teaser to the full-length trailer to all the TV spots, I am so on board and so excited for this movie. And also Oprah and Reese Witherspoon and Mindy Kaling are in this movie. And Chris Pine and Gugu Mbatha-Raw. It's a really, really star-studded supporting cast. Number 7, Solo, A Star Wars Story. The movie that has been probably the most controversial thing to come out of Lucasfilms, excluding The Last Jedi, because, let's be honest with ourselves, fans didn't ask for this movie. And what happened with the original two directors being fired off of this movie midway through production and replaced by Ron Howard is definitely pause for concern. I will say this, everything leading up to the first official look definitely gave us pause for concern when it came to this movie. But the trailers look phenomenal. And Alden Ehrenreich is a fantastic actor. He has a really small part in Hail Caesar, which is a Coen Brothers movie that came out around 2 years ago, I think. And he knocks it out of the park with that movie. And that was essentially one of the reasons that he got this gig. And even though people say that no one can replace Harrison Ford, he's still a fantastic actor. And the rest of the cast looks phenomenal. And it just looks like a fun movie to watch. And I'm glad it's coming out for Memorial Day weekend for summer rather than another Christmas Star Wars release. Okay, number 6 is Game Night. I hadn't heard of this movie until just before I started making this list because I saw the first trailer for it and it was so funny. It's essentially a group of adults that get together for game night, but they decide to, one of their friends decides to kick it up a notch and they say, one of us is going to be taken and you have to figure out where that person is, but you are not going to know what's real and what's fake. And hilarity and hijinks ensue. It's got Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams front and center as the main two leads, with a great supporting cast. The actor who plays Winston from New Girl's on there. Billy Magnuson from Into the Woods is in this movie. So I am very, very excited. The trailer just made me fall out of my seat laughing so hard. It was hysterical. That bit with the squeaky toy and the bottle of wine, I'll include a link in the description to the trailer. You just have to see it. It's that funny. Okay, number 5, Ocean's 8. I know that Ghostbusters underperformed and was extremely controversial with the fact that they were going with an all-women cast, replacing men in a franchise that had already been established. And that's pretty much what they're doing with this new Ocean's movie. They're making an Ocean's 8 with all women rather than it was all men back with the first 3 Ocean's movies. But here's the thing that gives me, that puts it more in the positive camp than the negative over Ghostbusters. The cast is definitely more prestige than the Ghostbusters cast. Let's be honest with ourselves. I mean, with the exception of Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, and Leslie Jones all came from Saturday Night Live. And they were essentially TV actresses that were then being put front and center in a movie, which is how you're supposed to evolve as a performer once you leave Saturday Night Live, or you're still in it in terms of those last 2. But this movie has got Sandra Bullock and Cate Blanchett, and it's got even, I think, more interesting talent like Sarah Paulson and Rihanna, and Mindy Kaling's in this movie as well, and Helena Bonham Carter and Anne Hathaway. And I've never seen Awkwafina in a movie before, but I'm really excited to see what her character brings to the table. But it just, from the trailer alone, it definitely looked a lot more put together than Ghostbusters did. I mean, obviously, I wish that the narrative that came along with these movies was not, we took a male cast movie and remade it with all women. It should be more of, hey, we made a great movie with this beautiful cast of very talented women, just come see the movie. I wish that the negative connotation was not associated with these films and we could just judge these on a merit of their own, because I thought that the remake of Ghostbusters was hilarious. I just wish that the negative connotation associated with these movies didn't exist in the first place. But I will see this movie because I love the cast and I really enjoyed the first Ocean's 11 movie. All right, number 4, Avengers: Infinity War. I am very, very excited, but also very nervous about this film because I personally was not a fan of Captain America: Civil War because I didn't like the dividedness that the clear line drawn in the sand between Captain America, Iron Man, and all the Avengers that fell on both sides of them. And I just don't know going forward how they're going to deal with this. And I mean, obviously this is the biggest movie of the year that they're going to be making, and it's obviously the last 10 years of Avengers movies and Marvel movies have been leading up to this film. So I am excited because I think that it's incredible that they have brought all of the cast members who have almost been in almost every single Marvel movie to be assembled for this film. So, I mean, that selling point alone is just incredible. And the trailers have looked phenomenal. I'm nervous if this means that the Avengers are officially coming to an end, which all good things must come to an end at some point. But I'm just nervously apprehensive, but also really excited. Now, number 3 is the other Marvel movie that's coming out before Infinity War, and that's Black Panther. This movie actually comes out this weekend, so I'm definitely going to be seeing it, and we'll be reviewing it. But I'm just completely blown away at Ryan Coogler's direction. It's just, from the way that this movie looks stylistically, to the cast, to the production, to the way that this movie feels differently. It feels like a very bold new direction for Marvel to go when it comes to their comic book movies. Obviously, I feel that Spider-Man Homecoming, Doctor Strange, and the Guardians of the Galaxy movies feel like spin-offs rather than not a part of the linear MCU storyline. And when they're not a part of the storyline, they're stylistically and artistically very, very different. And that's what's the most intriguing thing about Black Panther for me. That's why I'm the more excited for it over Avengers Infinity War, because Avengers, we're getting obviously the same crop of characters that we've seen with the same directors that we've also seen, but this is a new director with brand new material that's being brought to the screen for the first time, and I can't help but be excited. Number 2 is Mary Poppins Returns. I can't believe that this movie's finally coming out this year. I remember when this movie first was announced that they were going to be doing a sequel to Mary Poppins with one of my favorite film directors of all time, Rob Marshall. He directed Chicago, Into the Woods, and even the beautiful and very, very charming TV movie remake of Annie. And I just loved Into the Woods in Chicago so much that I can't wait to see what he does with Mary Poppins. And interestingly enough, Rob Marshall has been attached to be the director for Disney's live-action remake of The Little Mermaid. So here's hoping that this movie does well. And also, this cast. I mean, Lin-Manuel Miranda is definitely going to be interesting to see in this movie, but Emily Blunt is so well cast as Mary Poppins that the only thing that could completely derail this movie would be a bad performance, but I don't see that happening. She was so good as the baker's wife that I want to see her in more movie musicals, and that's exactly what we're getting. And also, Dick Van Dyke is going to be returning, Meryl Streep is in this movie, Angela Lansbury is in this movie, and even though Julie Andrews will not be in this film for a cameo, she said publicly that she wanted this to be Emily's movie. She does feel very happy knowing that the umbrella is being passed to a new Mary Poppins. And finally, the number 1 movie I am most excited for this year is The Incredibles 2. It's been 14 years since the first movie came out. I watched it constantly when I was a kid, and that movie has a very special place in my heart. And while it took them so long to make the sequel, we as our legion of fans are still extremely excited. I cannot wait to see what they do with the material. The only thing major that we do know about it is that we are getting some new superheroes, and it's picking up right where the first movie left off, which I think is a very interesting and bold choice. I would have been comfortable if they had done a time jump, considering that it's been 14 years since the first Incredibles movie. And also, on a side note, that first film has amazing rewatchability factor. I mean, animation has definitely evolved since 2004, but the story is still great. The action sequences are still breathtaking, and the way that it fully captures nostalgia for the superhero genre really just makes it one of Pixar's best films. I put it up there with WALL-E and Toy Story and Coco in terms of spectacular movies made by Pixar. And I can't wait. I cannot wait to see what they do for their 20th full-length animated movie. It's going to be so exciting. So thank you so much for watching this video. Leave in the comment section down below which movies in 2018 are you the most excited to see. Be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, hit the subscribe button if you are not already subscribed, click the bell icon for notifications. My links to social media are in the description. And one more thing, as I talked about in my update video, I'm going to be doing a Q&A episode. So if you have any questions that you want to ask me, leave them in the comments. And once I get enough questions, I will do a full Q&A video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.